I'm the chef. I'm Peruvian.
Peruvian, so you came from Peru.
When I came to Singapore 10 years ago, nobody knew where Peru was. Where do they come from?
Sorry?
Where do they come from? I wish I read the book about how is Singapore before I came here, but they didn't have it. I used to stay super late outside, giving my card, please come to my restaurant. All right, Yanks, let's do this. We've been waiting for this long.
Yes, give me one steak, medium well, please. Yes.
We have a third concept, which is called Tonito, in the Jewel Mall. This will be a fried fish sandwich, just a little bit lighter. Tartar sauce and pico de gallo on the plate. On the plate. Fantastico. T2. We're the only Latin American option in Jewel. Vamos, one chili, table 1.5. And I hope soon we have salsa all over Jewel, you know, dancing. I am in Singapore almost 15 years. I never thought, for a Peruvian to dream that you're gonna end up working in Singapore and have a company this big, everybody would think you're crazy, right? When I would go back home, I would go to a cevicheria. As soon as I step in, I'm hungry like crazy. The idea was to open a little shop that would sell ceviche and beer. Cevicheria is a seafood place in Peru.
Torno Cevicheria is the first cevicheria in Asia, and I think 90% of the client is Singaporean.
What makes Daniel's restaurant stand out is even when I'm on my personal time, not for work, I want to go there. It's zero pretension, but it's good food. And yeah, it's just a fiesta when you eat there, so.
What's up, dude? Dono has grown very big in 1.5 years. We have a very big regular clientele. We started with the idea of serving ceviche and beer, and now it has become a restaurant that I would say fully represents Peruvian cuisine. Ceviche is the national Peruvian dish. Most of the times it's basically 5 things: fish, or some kind of seafood, onions, chili, limes, and a little bit of salt and garlic.
I'm sure hotels had ceviche maybe 5, 10 years, even 15 years ago, but it was only a single dish in a wider menu.
In the beginning, when we opened, we served almost half of the menu was ceviches because we were trying to deliver a clear message of what was the main Peruvian dish. In Peru, I think everybody's last meal on earth would be a ceviche in the beach. Peru is in South America. We were the Inca Empire, and then later we got invaded by Spanish. Then came African slaves, followed by a Cantonese migration, a second Cantonese migration, and then a Japanese migration. My grandfather was a Cantonese. A Peruvian, in many ways, is very similar to a Singaporean. A Singaporean has a little bit of Malay, Indian, Chinese, Peranakan. I can totally relate to the Singaporean community. Growing up in Peru was very difficult. The economy was doing very bad. When I started to reach 20, our government was very, very, very corrupted. So my dad came back one day and he says, let's go. We're gonna move to the United States. When we moved to the States though, everything changed. I started cooking as a kid, really bad, of course. I love to eat a lot. I used to study business and I was doing very bad. My dad asked me to change career. I chose culinary school. I like the act of cooking. Cooking just made me feel great, so I got totally hooked. All the great chefs used to train in Europe. I started asking everybody, hey, I want to go to Spain. I went to Valencia. There's this restaurant called La Sucursal. They're about to get the star, right? So I went there 5 or 6 times for me to get an appointment with the chef. At that time, the chef decided to take me in. So I think on the second month, I realized, oh man, I really don't know nothing. The first job, what I learned was how to be a decent worker. The hours were long, and it was important to learn how to work clean also. The restaurant won a Michelin star. Yeah, that was great. So I was still feeling that there was something missing. At that time, my chef told me, Daniel, now is your time to go to a 3 Michelin star. So my initial reaction was, no way, man. My chef was teasing me also. If you don't do it, you're not worth it. So I thought, yeah, sure, let's just try it. So that's when I packed my bags and I went to work for Santi Santa Maria. And that really changed my life. Santi was a 3 Michelin star chef from Catalonia. He was the first 3 Michelin star chef in Barcelona.
Y es un poco, ¿sabes, tío? Es como que loco. Que realmente.
I met Juan in Dubai, but we got to know each other more when we opened Santi. Santi, he always have a very soft spot for Singapore. He came a lot of times. And I remember at that time I was thinking, oh, where is Singapore? You know. At that time, our boss, Santi Santa Maria, was soon to open the 7th restaurant in the company, Marina Bay Sands. But it was because of him that I came. And when he gave me the chance of becoming his head chef, I didn't even dream that I could do that. Yeah, by far, he's the biggest influence in my career.
Santi is more than a boss, he was a mentor. He was really keen to share his knowledge, his passion, his motivation.
Hello, boss. Can I have a chicken biryani? Yes, and one of these, please. Coming from Latin America, I can truly relate to eating in the market. We have in Peru this dish called arroz con pollo, which means chicken rice. In this case, it's called biryani. So in Peru, we use a lot of cumin. Indians use a lot of cumin. So I can totally relate to this dish. I mean, in many ways, if I'm blinded, I would say that this is a Peruvian dish. I wish I read the book about how is Singapore before I came here, but they didn't have it. And I hope this doesn't sound bad, right? But I think 20 years ago, everybody thought that Singapore was inside of China. Coming to Singapore, there were not many Peruvians or Spanish-speaking people, and the cultures in many ways are very different. The way that we express our emotions in Latin America is very different than here. When my mom came to visit me from Peru, I was hugging her all the time, right? And my coworker was like, oh, is she dying? Why are you hugging her so much? We were the first celebrity chef restaurant who opened in Marina Bay Sands. The restaurant was called Santi. That day was the grand opening of Marina Bay Sands. I was inside of the kitchen. My sous chef called me and said, Daniel, Santi fall. And when I went outside, yeah, Santi was actually in the floor. And he was taken to Singapore General Hospital, I think, so we all followed. By the time that we arrived, they told us that Santi was gone. When Santi Santa Maria left, there was not much reason for guests to come. After we closed Santi, then I feel really down, realizing that Santi was gone forever. I thought that it was time to go back to Peru. The sandwiches will go one by one. One.
Yes, 翻锅chicharrón装那个 belly.
We closed Santi, realizing that Santi was gone forever. He thought that it was time to go back to Peru. There was an investor who wanted to open up a restaurant. And this is a Spanish restaurant in the MBFC. The full name is Hola Cocina del Mar, but it's actually Wave, and Cocina del Mar refers to cooking of the sea, or seafood cooking. And these French fries, I think we can fry them a little bit longer also.
Longer. But is this the size you want, the looking?
Yeah, I think yeah. Wow. How long are you frying this?
7 minutes.
At the beginning, a lot of guests came the first 4 months. It was full to death. And then shortly after, it emptied because the truth is that customers did not like it. Here in the financial district, I think it took us 2 years to understand how fast do we need to serve the food. That has been quite the first challenge for the first 2 years to survive. I'd say that it needs to come with you understanding you're doing things very wrong to make sure that you can start to change, right? So in the beginning, I used to stay super late outside, cleaning the door, giving my card, please come to my restaurant. And the security guards will say it's not possible. But I think that's really meaningful because it makes you understand that it's not easy and it's not meant to be easy. And if it happens too quickly, whatever success it is, then it's not really meaningful, right? The restaurant was not even making profit. One day we received a call from the organizer of the world's 50 best restaurants, and he was asking us if we would like to partner up with a team of Peruvian chefs that were coming here to promote Peruvian cuisine during the week of the Asia 50 Best Restaurant. At that time, my current business partner, he was very kind. He gracefully told me, Daniel, I think this is the time that, man, you need to show what you're made of, right? We did an event for 100 people. We put the music super loud. We started serving pisco sour, ceviches. The people at some moment got so happy they went inside of the kitchen, hugging, taking pictures, eating ceviche. I mean, it was just an amazing moment of bonding for me. And I realized that, first of all, to me it was impressive to see how Peruvian chefs can get together, take time out of their busy schedule, and travel all over the world promoting a dish with nothing in necessarily for them. It's a duty towards the country, and that was just so inspirational. It was a great feeling to see customers coming here to say, I don't want to eat nothing Spanish, I want to eat all Peruvian. We realized, wow, people love Peruvian foods. Out of the blue, from being empty, little by little people start to come. So then we start to think, maybe it's time to open a cevicheria. Cevicheria is a seafood place in Peru. It's one of the newest concepts. And that's how we built Tono.
All the staff in here is Asian. I am the unique Latin American. It's the first cevicheria in Asia, and I think 90% of the client is Singaporean. The first day is open Tono. The quantities of the food is like Peru, big portion. And the people is like, wow, this is too much. In Peru only is potato, big potato, very little meat. In here is more meat or more seafood because the people like it more, like the carbs, no? Tono Cevicheria, when the first time is open the doors, I think it's 100 better now.
In 1.5 years, we have stabilized the clientele, which means that customers come quite often. I think that's more meaningful than for one-time visitors.
Daniel, hermano. ¿Cómo estás? Gracias, gracias. I knew Daniel here when I have just arrived as the ambassador of Peru. I have heard about him in my country, about this restaurant. And Daniel is a sort of culinary ambassador of Peru here in Singapore.
The vibe, Tono, as you know, it means party, and Daniel also means party anyway. It's a place where you could just enjoy with your friends, learn something new if you're not very familiar with Peruvian cuisine, and it speaks of the friendliness of Peruvian culture. I've not been to Peru, but I'm assuming that every Peruvian now is friendly.
Where do they come from?
It's coming Indonesia.
Indonesia. Oh, very nice.
What do you want to cook? You want a barbecue? You
Yeah, like a barbecue.
look in the barbecue, you take the tiger and the king tiger, the glass seafood.
I'll come back later with my team. Very nice. The problem of having a Peruvian restaurant in Singapore is Peru exactly at the other side of the planet. The import cost would be very high from Peru. In Peru, we believe the most important ingredient is this chili called yellow chili, ají amarillo. It's super expensive to bring it. So being realistic, we would like to import only what is strictly necessary. Kelvin, so this right now for the chicharrón, we're going to use the pork belly, or we're also thinking about using the pork rib, as we said?
Yes. Using the bread.
Yeah, but we don't have a sous vide machine.
I try to cook in the bread.
This one is cooking the boil? Oh, very nice. Personally prefer to work with local staff. Well, first of all, there's actually no reason why you should believe that because you're born in a country, you should be better at cooking at it. When I talk to the team here, I always try to give examples of local cuisine so that they can understand it. Like in Peru, we have something quite close to laksa. And it's quite close to char. I think this part is to be a little bit more crispy. I mean, this inside is nice, right? You can see it's like a KFC.
I put it in more.
Yeah, a little bit, 1 more minute. When I came to Singapore 10 years ago, nobody knew where Peru was. Peruvian food had only one big problem in order for me to get convinced that it can work in Singapore. Well, ceviche is raw and cold. To see a person more than 40 years old eat raw fish happily was always a question mark.
Singapore, I think a lot of us have been acquainted or we know very well Western flavors. And Latin American, it's so far away from here, so I think there's still a lot for us to learn.
I remember one time I was here watching two 70-year-old local couple. They have 4 ceviches. Nowadays I was surprised. A lot of the customers have actually been to Peru. Once that happened, I thought, ah, man, things are really changing. Let's start bringing some Latin flavors here. Watching Singaporeans and the Singapore citizens coming to Tono and to bond with the Latin culture made me feel so much more at home, yeah.
So when I first met him in Ola, he was cooking Spanish food. But in Tono, I was able to bring Peruvian food to Singapore. Daniel's upcoming restaurant, Tonito, is all Latin American. First of all, the name is very cute, I must say. Little brother of Tono. We don't have to necessarily go to an Argentinian restaurant to try Argentinian food, maybe. We could go to Tonito and maybe have like one Argentinian dish, have one Peruvian dish, and have our favorite tacos.
We're going to open Tonito in 3 weeks from now. Yep. Vamos, this is the briefing, please. Kelvin. We're going to do a food tasting for Tonito, and the idea is to make sure that we are in the same page with our customers. Today is very important because we're going to a new location where we don't know what is the habit of eating. So after Tono, what happened was that customers requested for Latin American food. And that's how we came up with Tonito. The sandwich section. Yeah, this would be the section of our snacks. I mean, we need to understand we're not serving Latin American food necessarily for the Latin American community. Maybe we can go through some of the feedback. I think the wings were super well received. At the same time, I'm not so sure if everybody understood the sour cream.
No.
No?
So a couple of feedback on the sour cream that didn't go along, and they wanted to have some other sauce to go along with the chicken wings.
Probably be the crown jewel of his restaurants in terms of location. Jewel Changi probably wanted to curate a very international selection. I mean, you will have to have a Chinese restaurant there, probably a seafood. But they also wanted to surprise both the locals and also the foreigners passing through.
All right, Yanks, we're going to start now. This is our first day. I hope we are all very excited. We have been planning this for long. So now please listen to your master Kelvin. Vamos. I think there can be a lot of pressure. Everybody comes with a lot of expectation. And because it's new. Woo! First tables. Yeah, of course, I'm quite tense. We're competing with a lot of big companies that are well established. Faster, Kelvin. Don't play it up like that, man. Faster, dude. I believe a lot in my team, though. Yeah. Vamos. One chili, table 1-5. We were coming here for the last 2 months every day.
Because it seems more interesting compared to the other offerings, like what you have in Orchard Road or in Heartland Malls.
I'm having the Lomo Saltado. Reminds me of shark's fin with a bit of vinegar. The vinegar part, but not the shark's fin.
We make the necessary corrections at the right time. So we did a lot of tastings. We adjust a little bit of the levels of salinity and acidity to make sure that it's approachable, yeah. This is by far the most successful opening that we have done ever. I'm glad to see that there are so many Singaporean customers. We're trying to show our culture in Asia. I personally believe that the whole world needs it to disconnect, whether if it's by learning how to dance salsa, eat a ceviche, prepare a taco, anything. Maybe 10 years from now, people will start cooking ceviche in their home. The same way that I hope in one day in Peru, we cook laksa over there. I've been here 13 years in Singapore. Now I'm super happy. I'm glad that we have the opportunity of growth.